Welcome to the EZU course about the basics of EZLynx user interface. In this course, you will learn the functions of common buttons and icons in EZLynx. There's a lot to cover, so let's dive in. To preface this video, we'll begin by defining what a user interface is. Essentially, a user interface is the means by which the user interacts with a computer system, application, or software. In this case, we'll discuss the multitude of buttons and icons EZLynx users utilize to interact with the system. You'll notice many of these buttons and icons repeat themselves throughout EZLynx. They'll typically look the same or only differ slightly. Regardless, like buttons and icons will retain the same functionality across the system. Additionally, you can hover over most of them to view information about what they pertain to. For example, hovering over the dashboard icon will reveal text that says dashboard. Next, to the right of the EZLynx logo is a search bar. Although this search bar is specific to finding customers and policies, all search bars you find in EZLynx function the same. For that purpose, let's discuss some search-related buttons you may encounter throughout the system. First off is the filter button. Depending on the type of search you're conducting, clicking on this will reveal filters to help you narrow down your results. Next is the clear search button. Clicking on this button will clear your search filters and results, making it easier for you to begin a fresh, new search. Lastly is sort and sort direction. Sometimes sort will appear as a drop-down and sometimes it will appear as a button. Either way, the function is the same. It allows you to sort your search results by a variety of criteria. Additionally, the sort direction button allows you to sort your results by ascending to descending or vice versa. Pressing forward, we'll discuss the most common buttons and icons you'll see throughout the system. Let's start with the column sort arrows. Tables and columns are a frequent occurrence in EZLynx. Most columns you encounter will have an up and down arrow button to the right of the column name. Clicking on the arrow button once will sort the column ascending to descending. Clicking on the button a second time will reverse the column, sorting it descending to ascending. This feature functions the same whether the column has alphabetical or numerical values. The next button you'll see often is forms. While this button has varying looks, the functions are all the same. Sometimes you may just see a clipboard icon, where other times you'll see the word forms spelled out with a drop-down menu. Regardless, clicking on this button will present a list of forms you can use at your disposal. These typically include forms related to servicing policies, proof of insurance, and applications. Now, let's move on to the settings button, which resembles a gear. You'll see this button time and time again. Mostly, you'll notice the settings button on a customer's overview tab. There's a different settings button for each widget contained here. For example, there's a separate settings button for policies and applications, tasks, email campaigns, claims, and so on. The options listed within each settings button will differ depending on what it's related to. The next button we'll discuss is the kebab, which looks like 3 vertical dots. This is another one you'll see frequently throughout the system. The options within the kebab button will vary depending on what it applies to, but typically always involves actions of some kind. For example, the kebab button under Policies on a customer's overview tab will likely have options to compare, edit, service, and other. Another recurring button is the Show or Hide Details arrow. This arrow may look different depending on location and whether the details are currently being shown or hidden. For example, the arrow may be facing left, right, up, or down. Next, we have the Actions button. You'll see this on numerous occasions as well. Clicking on an Actions button will reveal a drop-down. Again, the options within the drop-down will vary depending on what it's tied to. For example, the Actions button drop-down on the Overview tab of a customer's account will have selections to add policy, add application, add claim, and additional actions. The following button involves real-time data, which is the Reload or Refresh button. Clicking on this will update the data you're currently viewing. For example, you may see this on the homepage next to Policy and Claims Downloads, or you'll find it within Reports. Another important button is Add Attachments, which resembles a paperclip. Usually, this button lets you add attachments from your customer's document library or directly from your computer. Next is the Email button, which looks like an envelope. You'll see this button in several areas, including the customer's overview tab underneath their name or at the bottom of the quote results page within the rating engine. As you would expect, clicking the email button lets you send an email directly to your customer. Notice the resize button at the corner of the text box. This button can be 2 or 3 lines, or a triangle in the corner used to resize the box so you can see and type more. The delete button looks like a trash can and will permanently delete whatever it's connected to. For example, if you scroll down on the Details tab, you'll see a trash can icon next to the customer's email address, phone number, and at the very bottom of the page. The one next to the email and phone number will permanently delete the respective data, while the trash can at the bottom will permanently delete the customer's account in EZLynx. Because the results are permanent, please only use this button when you're absolutely positive you want to delete something. The next button is self-explanatory, which is print. You'll find this printer button scattered throughout EZLynx, which will allow you to print whatever it is you're viewing. This is especially handy for reports, quote results, applications, forms, and customer information. The following 2 buttons are related, which are the export or download button and the upload button. The export or download button resembles an arrow with a line underneath it. Clicking this button triggers a download of the data or information it's tied to. A practical example of this is located at the bottom of the Details tab. Here, you can export the customer's information by selecting Export Format and the data you wish to export. The Upload button looks the same, except upside down. Where you see this button, you can typically upload files or data from your computer. Moving on, we have the Edit button. Its appearance may vary, but its function remains the same. Sometimes you may see a pencil icon, while other times you'll see a button that says, Edit. As you may have guessed, this button lets you edit information in a given field. The pencil edit icon is commonly found within the email campaigns product, as you see here. Similar to Edit, you'll see the Copy button regularly within email campaigns. This button resembles 2 pieces of paper on top of each other. The Copy button is especially useful for email campaign drafts and templates, so you can avoid having to remake similar campaigns in the future. The next button you'll see quite often is the Calendar. When you see this button next to a field in EZLynx, it means you'll need to select a date. Clicking on the Calendar button will open a calendar window where you can select a date. However, if the date you need is more than a year into the past or future, it may be easier to type the date into the Date field. The last icon we'll discuss is mostly reserved for important tips and information. We'll call this the information icon, which is essentially just a circle with a lowercase I inside. Hovering over this icon will reveal information related to the product or feature it's displayed next to. These can be extremely helpful, especially for agents and CSRs that are brand new to EZLynx. That's all for this EZU course on the basics of EZLynx user interface. You should now have the knowledge about the various buttons and icons, as well as how they function. Thanks for watching.